Hey YouTube, how's everybody? I am recording this. Today is February 8th, 2023. And when I woke up this morning, I have been just inundated with, I guess just flowing in, flowing in the Spirit. It's just all been pouring into me today of all these different topics and ideas and things that, that I've been being taught really for a long time now. But one of those things is recognizing your spiritual gifts. And this is something that I've been trying to do, trying to make sense out of, because, to be honest, it's really an alien concept to the human, fleshly, worldly life. Things in the Spirit are totally different. And it has taken a lot for me to try and, I guess I've analyzed it and tried to put it together in different ways, and really what I'm trying to do is, and I'm being taught little by little, is how to use those gifts that I've become aware of. And when I first got opened up to these things, it terrified me. I mean, because I don't, if you don't know, when you first get awakened to the Spirit, it is so, people describe it as more real than real, and that is the truth. And it's overwhelming. And for me, it was terrifying because I could see things that I never saw before, both good and bad. And, I could see all the way to the most evil, to the lowest realm of thought. I could see how things work on a completely evil level. But I can also see, all the levels in between, and I can see how things work in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, in the will of the Father, and trying to find a place to land between, heaven and hell, in between, in the middle, I guess, bringing heaven to earth, right, which is the new heaven and the new earth. And so that's what the purpose behind all of it is. But because these giftings are they're truly overwhelming in every sense of the word, it is taking me a while to embrace it and just go with it. I fought against it for a long time. Didn't want to see what I was seeing. I just wished I could close it all back off, but you can't. And if you have been awakened to the Spirit, you know this. There's no going back. And that's a good thing, because you don't want to go back from where we've been, and all the illusions and lies of this world. You don't want to go back to being victim and enslaved to that. But operating in the Spirit is a whole new paradigm. It's a whole new reality is what it is. And so I've been asking the Father, even though I know what gifts He's given me, I've not named them or listed them or anything like that. And so I was asking Him today, what would you call this? What do you call these things? Put it in maybe biblical terminology so I can identify it with some, things I already know. because I come from a background of Christianity, just the normal Christian church, and warts and all, right? But that is my spiritual base of knowledge comes from there. And so I asked him, please tell me what gifts, identify, like, let's list them out. And so these are the things that I recognize in myself that have changed since I was opened up and, reborn. Or maybe not reborn, but being born from above, right? And it's taken me a couple of years to really honestly accept it, which sounds, and I don't mean that in any kind of ungrateful way, but it's just not as simple as it sounds, right? The whole process. So God told me, one spiritual gift is a gift of vision, certain kinds of vision, like I see colors. I can see I'll leave it at colors. Okay, I can see colors and kind of like spiritual energies. Okay, and I would say that I have what you would call also X-ray vision, which sounds like Superman, but meaning I can kind of see through people and see where the disharmony is, where the conflicts are, where the struggles and the battles are manifesting, and I can literally see it. I can see it with my eyes, and I can see it from a mental perspective. So there's that, which is I see light in a different way. Like I see lights and shapes and faces, and I guess, it's just you can see in the spirit. You see things that are in the spirit that are not physical, solid 3D things, but I can still see them. I can still see, I guess you would call it energies. And so then there's also the gift of prophecy, which is, for me, it's been like a pattern recognition, and it's also just the ability to hear what's being said underneath what's being said, or look at the landscape around you and see what's happening spiritually, which tells you what's about to happen, what's going to happen. And that is, the gift of prophecy. God told me that I am a carrier of His heart posture, of how He feels about us, how He, His heart desires for us as people, as His children, as His sons and daughters, like His heart towards us. And that's, unconditional love, but it's also justice. It's also, it's mercy. It's merciful justice is what it is. And it's like teaching a child not to run out into a busy street. Like you have to teach that child, right? And you can't, so there's things that have to happen for us to learn. But His heart posture in that is always to grow and improve us and bring us closer to being the unconditional love that He is. And that's the whole point. But I feel that, and with that is like a heart for serving and for helping others, and compassion and empathy, which is, God is so compassionate and empathetic towards us, and encouraging and building. He's a creator. He builds, right? He doesn't destroy. Lies and untruth and murder and all the things that go on in this world, those are destructive forces. But God is the creative energy of love, which only builds, it only encourages, it only lifts up. And that's part of my gifting. Another, and he didn't really give me a biblical name for this, but is having a multidimensional perception and understanding of the way things are. Like I can see things on many, many different levels and how they connect and tie in together. And I don't, I guess that's part of the wisdom of God. Is being able to see how it all works so that you can find the wise way to operate in that. Spiritual discernment, which is another kind of, vision or comprehension, where you can kind of tell what's at work in any given situation, like what the energies and the spiritual forces that are at work in people, in situations, and just kind of even in the macro, what spirits like people are plagued with, and I don't mean that as like you can certainly think of it as a literal kind of haunting or possession, but like the spirit of anger, or the spirit of shame. And I can tell the spirit of avoidance, the spirit of, there's all these different ways that we are influenced, right? And I can tell what, for the most part, what is influencing a person, a situation, or and then the other thing is another gift, which has felt like a curse, is the concept of being the one in your family who kind of takes on all the curses, all the generational curses, all the kind of evils that have been passed down to you through your DNA and all that. There are people, evidently, I'm one of them, but there are people that are meant to reset that cycle and clear that out, because that can't go forward, right? Those old traditions and sins and all the abuse and hatred and manipulation and control and all the things that we have for generations bowed to, those things have to be stopped. And it takes someone to spiritually do the work to stop it. And so that has been part of this whole thing for me is, in a way, in the spirit, paying for the sins of our fathers, right? And I don't think that's something everybody has to do. I don't know. I just know it was, it has been part of what I have been given the ability to do through this. And so I don't know how many that is, but those are like the biggest the biggest things. And it's just hard to balance out, which I think is the key, is to balance it out. But it's hard to hold it in a position where you're not being pulled. Because there are times when I'm like trying to just, I'll fall back into thinking, I've got to survive in this world. I've got to kind of do certain things or act certain ways. And as quickly as I do that, or I start to fall into like the earth way of doing things, I don't know how to describe it any other way, then it's like I'm bonked on the head, and the Spirit says, but none of that's really real, right? I mean, it's all a teaching mechanism. It's a simulated reality for you to make a decision on who you want to be and who you really are and how you really want to live. Because we're going to live forever. The question is how. The question is, how are we going to live? Are we going to live in love and in peace and in harmony? Or are we going to live in lies and illusion and chasing around fake power in the world? And so that's the choice we're all making. And you get to choose. It's up to you. And it's that simple. It isn't that easy at all, but it is that simple. Like, but not only just, if you ask anybody, they'll say, well, of course I would prefer to live in a world of love and peace, but would you really? Because if you are acting in any way that goes against those things, then you don't want to live. And that's part of what we're going through. It's everything that happens, everything is giving us an opportunity. It's a gift to decide how you want life to be. And I was thinking earlier, like, put it this way: if you and I were in heaven together, would you, or if you and your husband, you and your wife, you and your mother, you and your daughter, you and your son, if you were in heaven together, would you treat each other like you treat each other now? And I dare to say, you would not. And so until we treat each other as if we're in heaven, we're not getting there. We're not going to get there. If that is what you want, then you have to become that. It's not enough to say that's what you want. It's not enough to say that's what that you believe that. You have to be it. You just have to be it. And so best I can tell, that's what all this is about. And the gifts that you're given are for your own benefit and for the benefit of other people around you. And they should always and only be operated in love. They should never be turned against someone else. They should never be used to curse someone else. They should never be used in any kind of witchcraft kind of way. These are gifts from above, meant to bring love to the people, to you and the people around you. Because God loves you just like you are. Not like you think you ought to be, or not, when I get this way, then I'll get all that together. No, he says now, like now, be who I know you are, because I made you. I made you in love, or you wouldn't have life at all, because that is life. So remember that and act like it, so you can leave the world of suffering and pain and sorrow and death behind you and move on. Move up. Graduate. Go forth and multiply. It's a story. So that's a little bit about spiritual gifts, and I wonder if you have others, or and I'm not trying to make a list of making it something special. I'm just identifying different things and ways the Spirit reveals itself to you, and you can begin to, so that if you're not familiar, if you're just beginning on a journey like that, you will know that's what these things are. It took me a long time to figure out what all this was, but it's my heart to. I don't want to see anybody suffer, and I have suffered. So I want to do anything I can to lighten your load, to ease your mind, to calm your fears, to build your faith as you go through it. And here's what you have to know: you will get through it. And when you look back, you'll know it was the best thing that could have ever happened to you, regardless of how bad it was. You'll know that. You'll see it. You'll be able to see it. You'll be on eagle's wings, right? So, anyway, you guys have a great day, a great week, a great month. And just remember, you're so loved. In fact, you are love. That's what you are. I mean, it's the core of what you are. And if you'll just remember that, reconnect to that, find that again, it will lead you home. Home is where your heart is, where love is, right? Okay. Thanks for listening. See ya.